Do I have your attention now? Great! So let's go ahead and learn how to create this cute little trinket plate. Hello everyone and welcome to Amparo Wonderland. Today we are going to be learning how to create this cute little trinket plate. So adorable, it has a daisy in the middle and you can use whatever colors you want because this is for the beautiful springtime that we are now in. If you did not know, yes, it is spring now. So if you want the written pattern, you can find that pattern for $9.99. I'm just kidding. It's literally just $1.11 in my store. Why 111? Well, because of the angel numbers, you guys. 111. Yeah, let's do it. So go ahead, you can find the link in the description box down below where it says online store. So go ahead and grab that pattern and let's get this stuff out of the way and get our materials. Here we have our materials. So we need a sharp pair of scissors, no dull ones please. We need our best friends here, the stitch markers, our darning needle, and of course our crochet hook. We will be using a 3.75mm hook. And then for our yarn, we need 3 different colors. I will be using worsted weight acrylic yarn from the brand I Love This Yarn. We have white, yellow, and medium blue. So go ahead and grab your materials and let's stop talking and let's get yarning. Alright, so we are going to be starting with our yellow colored yarn. For the yarn, we are going to be grabbing our hook as well, but first we are going to be working in the rounds, so we need to create our magic ring. Yes, I know some of you don't like your magic rings, but I'm so sorry, but that's how we're going to be doing it. If you do not know how to create a magic ring, I do have a short available for you up here where it shows you step by step on how to create the handy dandy magic ring. So another note, just so you are aware, these terms are in US terms. So I am sorry for those of you who use other terms, but go ahead, grab that written pattern so that way you can follow along and maybe you can translate the stitches in your terms, whatever terms you use. Yes, okay. Alright, I'm going to stop talking. So after we create our magic ring, we are going to be starting in round 1. Round counter up there. For round 1, we are going to create 6 single crochet into our magic ring. To create a single crochet, what we're going to do is that we are going to go into our magic ring here. We're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. This is where you're going to mark it up with your stitch marker here. Because we are working in rounds, you could very easily lose where your first stitch is, especially if you are a beginner. So we did 1 single crochet. Let's create another one. So go into the center of your magic ring. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. We're going to yarn over and pull through those 2 loops that are on your hook. I'm going to show you one more time, a little slower. So we're going to go into the magic ring, just like that. We're going to yarn over. We're going to pull up a loop like this, and you should have 2 loops on your hook. Okay, so we're going to yarn over one more time and pull that yarn through these 2 loops back here, just like so. Okay, so we have 3 single crochet there. For some reason I'm struggling with holding my yarn right now. So we have 3 single crochet, as you can see. Each stitch has a V looking thing when you look at it from above, and from below this is what it looks like. It's just like little lines. Okay, so let's go ahead and create 3 more single crochet because we need 6 single crochet in total for round 1. Okay, so to count your stitches, you can look from above here. And you can look at every V stitch in here. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 where our stitch marker is. Okay, kind of like a little braid, honestly. It's cute. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to close our magic ring. To close your magic ring, we have two ends here, right? We have our short end here, and we have our long end, which is connected to our skein here. So this is our working yarn. We're not gonna use that. So leave that alone, put it aside, okay? Grab the shorter end here, and we're gonna hold the rest of our stitches with our other hand and just simply pull. So hold this tight and pull, 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 and that should close your magic ring like so. If for any reason it's not closing or it's having difficulty closing, that means that you may have to redo your magic ring. So I apologize if that's the case. So now that we did round 1, we're going to move over to round 2 here. So for round 2, what we're going to do is that we are simply going to do what is called an increase. An increase is when you create 2 stitches into 1 single stitch, and in this case we are creating 2 single crochet into each stitch from the round 1. But before we do that, I'm going to show you how we're going to join these ends here. For each round, this is what we're going to be doing. It's called the invisible join. What we're going to do is that we're going to lift our loop here a little bit and remove our hook. Now, this is going to be a little bit difficult if you're like novice, but I believe that you can do it, okay? So what we're going to do is that we're going to grab our stitch here. You can remove the stitch marker, you can leave it there if it's easier, but go ahead and remove your stitch marker and keep in mind of where your stitch is. We're going to grab our hook here and we're going to work into the back of the stitch. So just go through the stitch like you normally would, but through the back, like this, okay? Now we're going to grab that loop that we released and we're going to put it back on our hook, and that loop, we're going to pull it through our stitch here. And you just pull it right through. And don't worry if your hook comes out, you just put your hook right back in there. Okay, so we joined our ends here, but to make it really invisible, we're gonna tighten it as much as we can, okay? And just tighten your working yarn. Just tighten that loop down. We're going to chain 1. So to chain 1, you're going to yarn over. We're gonna pull through that loop. Okay, that's your chain. And we're gonna work into the same stitch that we just did that. We're gonna go right in there, right through the front. The one that we worked through the back, that's the one we're working into. So that's why I say you can keep your stitch marker if you have to. So go through the front this time. We're going to yarn over, and we're going to pull up a loop. Okay, so we have 2 loops on our hook now. We're going to yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. So that's a single crochet, okay? And that's gonna be our first stitch of the round for round 2. Okay, so like I said, we're doing increases for this round, so that means that we're gonna do that again into the same exact stitch. So as you can see, we're working our stitch into that stitch there. Okay, that's the single crochet we just did. We're gonna go into that stitch and yarn over and pull up a loop. Okay, we got our 2 loops. We're going to yarn over and pull through those 2 loops there. Okay, so we have our 2 stitches there in that 1 single stitch. Let's do that again. Go into the next stitch now. Okay, as you can see, the little braid, the little V, that's where we're going through. We're going to the next one, going to yarn over and pull up a loop. We yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. You got a single crochet. We're going to do that again in the same exact stitch. As you can see, there's a little hole there. Just work your way into that stitch again. Going to yarn over and pull up a loop. Okay, we got our 2 loops again. So we're going to yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. So you should have 4 stitches in total so far, since we did 2 increases. Okay, so keep working those increases all the way around. If you see that your magic ring is opening up a little bit, you just simply tighten the end so that way it closes it again. Okay, so go ahead and create 2 single crochet into each stitch, so an increase into each stitch, and at the end of the round you should have 12 stitches in total. Alright, here we go. So we've got our 12 stitches for this round, and now we're moving on to round 3. But before we move on to round 3, we gotta do that invisible join again. And as you can see, my magic ring is opening up a little bit, so I'm gonna simply grab my end here. See, this is the end. We're gonna pull it, just pull it tightly, and that's just gonna close the magic ring again, okay? So I'm gonna show you how to do that invisible join one more time. So what we're gonna do is that we extend this loop and remove our hook, okay? I'm gonna leave the stitch marker in there this time so that way you can see how it works. And you're gonna go from the back like this, okay? We're going to grab our hoop and put it back onto the hook, and you can tighten it a little bit if you have to, and then we're gonna pull it through that stitch there. It's a little more difficult with the stitch marker there because it's in the way, but it's possible to be done, as you can see. Okay, so now we're going to tighten that join so that way it can be seamless. And we're going to tighten our loop here from our hook. We're going to create a chain 1, so yarn over and pull through that loop. And we're going to go into the same stitch again where that stitch marker is, see? But through the front. So go right in there, and we're going to create a regular single crochet, just like so. Okay, and now that's going to be our first stitch of round 3. So go ahead and mark it up with your stitch marker so that way you don't get lost. Okay, perfect. All right, so now that we are in round 3, what we're going to create is this pattern is 1 single crochet and then an increase in the next stitch. Let me show you really quick how that works. So we did our 1 single crochet already there. We're going to go into the next stitch right here, and we're going to create an increase. So what is an increase? I don't know if you remember, but it's 2 single crochet and 1 stitch. So let's go ahead into our next stitch here and create 2 single crochet. There we go. So we have 1 single crochet and then the increase. So we're going to repeat that again into the next one. So we go 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then in the next one we are creating 2 single crochet, so an increase. There we go. What we're doing here is that we are expanding our little circle, which is the center part of the daisy flower. So just repeat that. 1 single crochet in the next stitch and then an increase. We're doing that 6 times in total, and then we're gonna have 18 stitches at the end of the rounds. All right, here we are. We are at the end of round 3 and we are moving on to round 4. But before we do our invisible join, I want you to grab your next color, which is color B if you are following along with the pattern. Color B, in my case, is white, so it is the petals section. So whatever color you choose to do for your petals, that's the color we're going to be doing next. So let me show you how we're going to do a smooth transition with this white. So we're going to do the invisible join, just like we have been doing, and you're going to go into that first stitch from the back. So do that whole thing like we did earlier. I'm tightening it as much as I can. Now this is the part where we're going to switch our color because we want to have a smooth transition. We're going to grab our white, okay, or whatever color you're using, color B, and we're going to slip our color right onto the hook like this. And we're going to create the chain 1 with that color. So that means we're just literally slipping it right through like that, okay? Very easy. And now we're no longer using the yellow and we're going to continue with the white. So that means that we're going to go into that same stitch and we're going to create a single crochet. Okay, just like we've been doing. But again, before we move forward, I want you to weave in your pieces while we're working our stitches. So I'm going to weave in both the yellow and the white. So that way the yellow, we don't have to weave it in at the end. and also it gives it like a cleaner transition in the back of your plate as well. So go ahead and create your single crochet with the white, just like this. Okay, and we're going to mark it up with our stitch marker. Whoa, see, that's why I call it my best friend. I can't speak, so it's my best friend. Okay, so we have our first single crochet with the white now, and we're going to continue to create our stitches here. And the pattern that we are working is one single crochet in one stitch, the next stitch is an increase, and then the next one is a single crochet again. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that. Go into the next one and create an increase. So put your hook right in there. And as I said, we're weaving in our pieces as we work. So that means we're going to put our end here on top of the hook before we create our stitch. Okay, so just hold it like this. And then we're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. Okay, and we're going to do the increase. So I almost forgot. So we're going to work into the same stitch. Make sure those ends are still on top of your hook there before you yarn over. And then you pull up and yarn through both. Okay, so we have 3 stitches so far. We're going to work into the next one now and create a single crochet. So go into the stitch. Make sure those ends are on top of your hook. Okay, this is just going to help keep your piece look nice and neat. And just create a single crochet. Okay, so 1 single crochet, increase, 1 single crochet. We're going to repeat that again. We're repeating that 6 times. So do 1 single crochet into the next stitch. And then an increase into the next one. Make sure your ends are on top of that hook at all times. And the reason I'm doing the yellow as well is just so I don't have to worry about weaving it in at the end of my piece. So that's our increase, and now we're going to go into the next stitch here and create a single crochet, just 1. Okay, so now what you can do when you're weaving in your end as you work is that you can work it as far as you want, and then for the yellow you can literally just end where the white ends. I'll show you really quick. Alright, as you can see, there is no more of the white. It's very short. So I am simply going to cut off my yellow. I'm going to extend it just a little bit so that way I can weave in a little more of it. And now that piece is done to be worked with, and you can roll it up or do whatever you want. And I'm just going to continue using my pattern of 1 single crochet and increase all the way around, and at the end of the round you should have 24 stitches in total. Alright, welcome back. So we have made it to the end of round 4, and now we're going to round 5. But before we do round 5, let's go ahead and do that invisible join. Alright, so we got our invisible join here, and what we're going to do is that we're going to work up that single crochet into that same stitch. So you're going to go into that stitch where we did our join. We're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, and then we're going to mark it up with our best friend here just to make sure we know where we're going. So for this round, we're actually going to start joining our third color, color C, which is in my case medium blue from I Love This Yarn. And we're just going to be switching back and forth from the white and the blue, so there's no fastening off on this one, and there's going to be a lot of weaving in your piece while we're working our stitches, okay? So follow along as close as you can, and I will go as slow as I can, and I will show you the best that I can how to work these pieces together. Okay, so we have our first single crochet here. We're going to go into the next stitch right there, and we're going to create another single crochet, just a regular single crochet, and then do it again in this one, but this one's going to be a little different because we're going to start joining our new color here. So to join our color, what we're going to do is that we're going to finish the stitch with the new color. So let me show you what I mean. We're going to go into the stitch and we're going to create a single crochet. So you yarn over and pull up a loop. Now, normally you will yarn over again and pull through, But instead of yarning over and pulling through with the white, we're gonna bring our new color, so color blue for this case. We're gonna put it right onto our hook and just pull it right through the stitch. Okay, so now we have our new color here. And this is gonna be a little messy unless you follow my exact instructions on how to keep your colors from getting all tangled up while you're working on them. I moved my yarn skein so you can see what I'm doing. So I have my white on my left side and then the blue on the right side. I'm just moving them out of the frame so that way I have a little more space. So as you can see, we're gonna keep our yarn skeins in the same order of the working yarn. Now that we are with our blue, we're gonna work with the blue color. So what we're going to do is that we're going to create an increase into the next stitch, but we're gonna weave in our pieces as we go, so that way we can continue using the white for the next stitches. I know I'm talking a lot, but I just want to do instructions before I move forward. Okay, so go ahead and grab your blue, and we're going to go into the next stitch here. Before we yarn over, we're going to grab our pieces here, the other ends, and just put them over your hook. Try to make the white to go in the front so that way it doesn't show in the front of your piece here. Okay, so it'll go like this. Alright, so white in front of the blue. We're going to grab our blue, and we're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. We're going to yarn over and pull through those two loops. So that's our first single crochet from the increase. Okay, so we're going to do it again. We're going to go in there. We're going to keep our pieces above the hook there, yarn over and pull up a loop. Now we're going to switch up to the white again. So before finishing your increase, okay, before you finish your second one, we're going to grab our white, keep the blue there, and we're going to yarn over and pull through those two loops. Like that. Okay? I hope you're following along so far. Okay, so now we're not working with our blue, we're working with our white color. So to go in, we're going to go in here. But before we continue, we're going to continue to weave our pieces in. So grab your two blue color strands and then grab your white. The blue ones are right on top of the hook. We're not working with them, we're just weaving them in. Okay, so grab your white like this. Okay, we're going to yarn over and pull up that loop. We're going to yarn over and pull through two. We're doing that 3 times. So go into the next stitch, make sure those ends are right there on top, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. You do that one more time, but this is where we're going to change it up a little bit. So to keep your pieces from tangling up, because if you just simply weave in your piece while you're working, these two colors are just going to keep tangling up like this. Okay, so to avoid that, what we're going to do is that we're going to keep weaving in this shorter end because we're not working that piece at all. But the working blue, the working yarn of the blue, we're not going to weave it in. Okay, so the short one stays above, the blue one is away. Okay, just like this. And we're going to grab our white, okay, continue with the yarn over and pulling up that loop, but we're going to grab our blue now and finish our stitch like that. Okay, so we have 3 white, 2 blue, 3 white. Now we're going to do 2 blue again, so that means an increase. So we're going to go in there, make sure that the white and the blue, so the short blue end and your working yarn of the white is on top of your hook. Okay, just like this. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. We're doing an increase, so do that again. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and then Instead of yarning over with the blue, we need to finish with the white. But as you can see, for this one, you can continue weaving in as you work it because it's not going to get tangled since it is on the left side. It's the blue one you gotta worry about. So you yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. Okay? Got it? So let's go ahead and do that again. So we're gonna go into the next 3 stitches and create a single crochet, and don't forget that we're going to weave in our pieces as we go. So the short blue end and the working yarn of the blue. Okay? And we're going to do that 3 times. So 3 single crochet, that's 1 and 2. But for the 3rd one, you do not want to weave them in. You can keep the short one there, but the blue one stays out of there because then it'll get tangled up. I'll show you what I mean. So if you do it like this, now the blue is on this side. And as you can see, it's crossing. So if you continue that process, it's just going to keep going around and around and around, and it's just going to get all tangled up. So to avoid that, you want to make sure that the blue stays on the right side before you switch. Okay, so keep the blue out of there and create your single crochet, but we're gonna finish it with the blue here because we're switching to do the increase. Okay, if for any reason the blue shows up in front of your piece here, just pull it back a little bit and you'll be fine. Okay, so now we're going to go to the next one and we're going to do our increase. So bring your yarn pieces over on top of your hook like this, yarn over, pull up a loop, and do the increase. But don't forget, the second increase is going to end with the white, just like that. Okay, so again, we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next 3. But as you can see, the shorter end, you can't weave it in anymore, so you are all set with that. So don't worry about that short one anymore, but you're going to use your working blue yarn the same way. So keep it on the top of the hook and do your single crochets. 1, 2, and then the 3rd one, we're not going to weave it in, so keep it on the right side like this. Keep it away from your hook and create the single crochet, but finalize it with the blue. Okay, just like that. And just continue that pattern, and now we're going to do the increase. So make sure you weave in your white one. That's 1. And then the second single crochet, we finalize it with the white. Okay, so you follow that pattern all the way around. So that's doing it 6 times. And then when you get to the end, make sure you come back so that way I can show you what we're going to do next. Here we are, the end of round 5. As you can see, I ended my last increase with the color white, so color B. And that means that we can now move on to the next round, round 6. For round 6, we are going to do that invisible join, so go ahead and take care of that first. So after joining, or doing our invisible join, we're going to create 2 single crochet. So 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches. Give me a minute here. We created our first single crochet here. We're going to go and create another single crochet into the next stitch. Since I forgot how to weave in my piece, I am going to show you what happens. So let's say that I want to switch up with the blue here, right? But when because I did not weave in my end here, it's just going to go across like this. And you're going to be able to see it in the back of your piece. And it's just not going to look as neat. So you want to make sure that you do weave in your piece, because if not, you're going to have some trouble. So I'm going to redo the single crochet. I'm glad I made that mistake because you got to see what happens. So now create another single crochet into the next one with weaving in your piece here. And now in the next part, we're going to create an increase. So go in there, do 1. But for the second increase, because we're going to switch, do not weave in the piece. Okay? So keep the blue off to the side on the right side. And now you can grab your blue to finish that second single crochet of the increase. Okay? Perfect! Now what we're going to do is that we are going to create 2 single crochet into this stitch here. So do 1 single crochet while weaving in your white. So 1 single crochet, and then in the next one, another single crochet. But to end it, we're going to end it with the white because we're switching back to the white here. Just like that. Okay, very easy. It can be a little nerve-wracking if you forget to weave in your piece, but do not worry. And if for any reason the yarn does get all tangled up because you forgot to not weave it in, don't you worry about it. You could just simply untwist it, just twist it around like this, whatever easiest way it is for you, or you could just unravel it and, redo it. Okay, so we are here for this one. Now we're going to repeat that pattern again. So we're doing 2 single crochet, so 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches while weaving in our blue, and then we're going to create an increase into this next one. So you create 1 single crochet, and before you create the second, move the blue one out of the way and create your single crochet. But we're switching it up, so we're going to grab our blue before we finish that stitch and finalize it with the blue. Okay, I'm hoping you're keeping up so far. Give it a thumbs up. Give it a thumbs up if you're going well so far. Okay, so now let's go into the next one. We're going to weave in our white, going to yarn over and pull up a loop. We're just doing 1 single crochet into these 2, like that, and we're finishing that stitch with the white. Okay, so continue that pattern of doing the 2 single crochet with the white, then the increase, and then 2 single crochet with the blue. So that means 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches. Okay, and repeat that pattern. You have to repeat it 6 times in total for this round, and then at the end of the round you should have 36 stitches in total. Alright, here we are. We have finished our round. So now let's go ahead and move over to round 7. So for round 7, what we're going to do is that we're going to join our round here. And as you can see, I did end my last stitch with the white here. So let's do our seamless join here. So now what we're going to do after doing that seamless join is that we're going to create an increase, and then 2 single crochet, and then another increase. So let's go ahead and create that increase. So go into that same stitch. We're going to weave in our blue with us, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. You're going to mark it up with your best friend, and then we're going to continue again. So go into that same exact stitch and create another single crochet. Just like that. Perfect. And now we're going to do 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. And now in the last one, we're going to create an increase. And for the second increase, we are not going to weave in this blue. So keep the blue over here and create the increase, the second single crochet. But we're going to finalize it with the blue. Just like that. This is what it should look like so far. Okay, we're making the leaf a little wider. Now we're going to go in here and create 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches. Simple. And just grab your white over the hook like this. And do the single crochet. And then again, like so, but we're going to end the last single crochet with our white. Perfect. So we're going to repeat that again, that pattern. So we're doing an increase, 1 single crochet into the next 2, an increase, and then a single crochet into the next two with the blue. Okay, now we're going to continue that all the way around. So at the end of this round, you should have 48 stitches in total. Okay, so go ahead and create your round and then come back and I'll show you what we're going to do for the next round. Alright, so we finished the round and now we can move on to round 8. So for round 8, as you can see, first we did end our last stitch with the white, and now go ahead and create our join here. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to create what is called a single crochet 2 together, which is basically just a decrease, just a little more wordy. So let me show you how to create that single crochet 2 together. First, we're going to go into that same stitch where we did our join. We're going to continue to weave in our blue here. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. Okay. Now, before we continue, we're going to go into the next stitch. The same exact way, go through this whole stitch, continue to have your blue on top of the hook. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. Now we have 3 loops on our hook, and what we're going to do is that we're going to yarn over and pull through all those 3 loops. Like so. And now we have our first stitch. So go ahead and mark up that first stitch, and now you have learned how to create a single crochet 2 together. Yay! Perfect. Good job. All right. So now we can continue our pattern. We're going to create a single crochet into the next 4 stitches. But when you create your 4th stitch, you're going to finish it with the blue. Okay, so let's go ahead and create our single crochet, but make sure that you are weaving in your blue while you are creating those single crochets. Alright, so we've got our last single crochet here, and do not weave it in because we're going to work with it. So keep it like that. And then we're going to grab our blue and finalize the single crochet with the blue. Okay, so next we're going to create an increase in that first stitch. But make sure you weave in your white, so put it over your hook like this. And then we're going to create an increase, and that is 2 single crochet into that 1 stitch. And then we're going to create a regular single crochet into the next one. But it's not that regular because we are actually going to finalize this single crochet with the white. There we go. So now we're going to start that pattern again of doing single crochet 2 together, 4 single crochet, increase, 1 single crochet. Okay, so single crochet together. So we're going to go into the first stitch, grab our blue over the hook. Now you're going to yarn over with the white and pull up a loop. We're going to go into the next stitch here. Make sure you keep the blue above the hook again. Yarn over and pull up a loop. We have our 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Okay, so we single crocheted 2 stitches together. So single crochet 2 together. Now let's go ahead and create our single crochet into the next 4 stitches while weaving in that blue yarn. And now we're on this last one, so do not keep your blue away. Don't put it over the hook. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, and then grab your blue and finish that stitch with it. Perfect. And now we're going to do the increase into this next stitch here, but make sure your white is over the hook before you create that increase. So that means 2 single crochet in that 1 single stitch. And now we're going to create a single crochet into that one and finalize that single crochet with the white. I hope this pattern is making sense. I hope that it's not too difficult. So go ahead and continue that pattern. If for any reason you're not catching it, just go back to the timestamp for this round and I will meet you. I will meet you at the end of this round. You should have a total of 48 stitches at the end of this round. So at the end of the round, you want to finish the stitch with the white. Okay, so go ahead and take care of that, and then I'll see you there. Alright, here we are. So we have finished the round, and now we're gonna go over to round 9. But before we do round 9, obviously you gotta do your seamless join. So now that we have our seamless join, we're gonna go ahead and create a single crochet 2 together. So let's start with that. So go into that same stitch, make sure you have your blue over your hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, go into the next stitch and do the same thing. Now we've got our 3 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. There we go. Go carefully so that way you don't snatch the threads apart of the yarn, and mark up your first stitch. Perfect. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to go into the next stitch and we're going to create 1 single crochet. There we go. As you can see, I already showed you this before. The blue is kind of showing up a little bit, so what you got to do is just simply pull it back to the right a little bit and it kind of fades away like that. Okay, and you're good. Alright, so now for this last stitch of the white, what we're going to do is that we're going to do a single crochet 2 together again. So we're going to go ahead with our blue yarn on top of the hook. We're going to go into that first stitch and do the yarn over and pull up a loop. And then we're going to do it again in the next stitch, but do not keep your blue over the hook because then it'll get tangled. So just keep it off to the side here, like just behind, like this. And we're going to yarn over with the white and pull up a loop. And the reason is because we want to keep it from tangling up in the back. So we're going to grab our blue now and go ahead and yarn over and finish the stitch like this. So pull through all 3 loops like that. Okay? So now let's go ahead into the next stitch. In this next stitch, what we're going to do is that we are going to create an increase. So go ahead into that stitch, grab your white and put it over the hook, and create 2 single crochet in that 1 single stitch. And now the next one, we're going to create a single crochet. And then in the last stitch here, what we're going to do is that we're going to create another increase. So create 1 single crochet and then a second single crochet. And for the white, you can keep it over your hook because that it doesn't tangle up around. You already saw what I mean by that. So, okay, there you go. Now we're back to the white again. We're going to repeat that pattern again. So we do a single crochet 2 together while weaving in your blue. So you go into 1, go into the second one, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Create 1 single crochet. And then create another single crochet 2 together. So you go 1, and then in the second one, keep the blue out of the way. Pull up a loop with the white, grab your blue, and finish the stitch. Okay? So it's starting to take shape. The petals of the daisies is kind of building up. It has kind of like a groovy style to it, which is really neat in my opinion. I think it looks cool. So now we're going to go ahead and create an increase into the next stitch here. So that means 2 single crochet in that 1 single stitch. Okay? And then we create 1 single crochet in the next one. And then in the last one, we're creating another increase. So 2 single crochet in that 1 stitch. And finalize that second one with the white. I almost messed up. I almost forgot. But do not worry if for any reason you do forget. Just undo that 1 single stitch and then just come back to it and you'll be fine. So go ahead and repeat that pattern around 6 times in total. And you should have a total of 48 stitches at the end of the round. So with the last stitch, you're going to finish it with the white. like we have been doing, and then go ahead and join at the end so that way we can jump right into round 10 at the end. All right, so good luck and I'll see you there. Okay, so we have finished our round 9, and now we are in round 10. And as you saw on the screen, I made a whoopsie and told you the wrong thing. Yay! So we are actually ending with color C, which is blue in my case, and we are joining with that color as well. And we are only using this color for this last round. For this last round, what we are going to do is that we are going to work in the back loop only. So when you see BLO, it means back loop only for this round. Let me show you what exactly is a back loop, just in case you truly are a beginner. I want to show you what exactly that consists of. So when you're looking at a stitch, we look at the top here and you can see, I'll show you in the blue, it's a little easier to look through the screen. So it looks like a little V here, right? And there's a front loop and a back loop. I'll show you with my hook. So we have our front loop right there, and we have our back loop right there. So what we're gonna do is that we're working into the back loop only for the whole round, okay? So go ahead, grab your yarn here, and we're going to start by creating a single crochet into the back loop of that first stitch. So where you did your join, you're gonna go into that same stitch, okay? And we are going to weave in this white one a little bit more so that way we can cut it off before we continue, or before we end the round. So go ahead and yarn over. We're going to create, like I said, a single crochet. You yarn over and pull through 2, like so. And now we're gonna go into the next stitch and do that again. Do 1 single crochet in the back loop only. As you can see, it's between the V stitch there. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Do that again, back loop only, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. Perfect. Now we're going to work into the blue color section, and we're going to do slip stitches all the way across. So when you're creating a slip stitch, unfortunately you can't weave in your piece, so we're going to end that little white weaving in now, and we're just simply going to fasten it off with our scissors. Leave a little bit of a strand there. Leave it at least like 4 to 5 inches or so. It doesn't have to be super long. It's literally so you can weave it in completely at the end. Okay, so we're gonna go into the blue section here. We're going to create a slip stitch into the back loop. To create a slip stitch, you put your hook into the back loop here. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. And that loop that's in the front that you just pulled up is gonna go through the back loop right there. That's it. That's a slip stitch. It's very similar to a chain if you know what a chain is. So let's do it again. Go into the next stitch. We're going to create a slip stitch. So yarn over and pull up a loop, and then that loop is gonna go through the back loop. Just like that. Okay, so keep doing that all the way. Slip stitch all on the blue. Slip stitch, and this is the last blue. Remember, we're doing back loop only, okay? Not through the whole stitch, back loop only. Yarn over and slip stitch. Okay, so this is what it should look like so far. This is the top part of it, okay? Now we're back in the white. We're gonna create a single crochet in the back loop only. So do the back loop, you yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. Do it again, back loop only, and one more time, back loop only. Perfect. Now we're back in the blue, so that means we're going to do a slip stitch. So back loop only, slip stitch, pull through, pull through, pull through, back loop only, and the last one. Dun da da dun da da dun. done. Okay, so you're going to continue that pattern all the way around 6 times. So that is 3 single crochet where the white is, and then 5 slip stitches in the blue. And we're working in the back loop only. So don't forget, I will continue to repeat that so that way you can drill it into your brain. Okay, so go ahead and continue that round all the way around. And then come back to me so I can show you how we're going to weave in our ends, because that is the last round. Alright, so we're at the end of our round here. And what we're going to do to finalize it completely, we're going to go into the slip stitch here that we did, the first single crochet and we're going to create a slip stitch from the front to the back, the regular. We're not doing that slip stitch join, we're just doing a regular slip stitch there. Perfect. And now we can go ahead and fasten off our end. Do at least 5 to 6 inches or so that way you can have a good weave in. And then you just simply pull it up like this. It is safe to do since we have created that final slip stitch there. Now that we finished here, we're gonna grab our darning needle, whichever darning needle you have, and we're going to start weaving in our ends. But I want to show you how to weave in this last end so that way you can have a false stitch, so that way it has like a seamless going around situation type of thing. So as you can see, our last stitch is right here that we worked into. So we're gonna skip the next stitch here and go into the next one from the front to the back, through both the front and back loops, just like that. And then just tighten it a little bit. And then we're gonna work again from the front to the back, and we're gonna work into the last slip stitch that we created through the back loop only, from the front to the back, just like that. And now it looks like you just created a stitch there. So it creates a false stitch or a faux stitch, whatever you want to call it. And now you are done. All you gotta do is weave in the remainder of your ends. If you do not know how to weave in your ends, I will show you really quick. All you gotta do is go through the back here and you just weave in. It's easier with a darning needle, but if you don't have a darning needle, you can go ahead and use a smaller hook or whatever you have available that you think would work. And you just go through the stitch. I advise to stay in the same color that you're working with. So the blue with the blue, and then the white with the white, and the yellow with the yellow. You can do different colors. It's just sometimes you have a chance of it going through the front of your piece, and you want to avoid that. So just keep going back and forth. As you can see, I'm going to any stitch that I wish. And that's because in this case, it doesn't really matter if the back looks a little messy, but you do want to be a little careful if you do care about what the back looks like. But I'm just going to keep working into this blue until I am satisfied. So let's say that I want to end my weaving in here for the blue, and I'm just going to cut off the X's as close to the piece as you can without cutting your piece. Okay, so there you go. That's how I did the blue, and now you can go ahead and weave in your white and your yellow. And there you have it. We have finished our cute little trinket plates. They are very cute and adorable. As you can see, we can do 3 different colors here. You can use any color. I would honestly even do like a mint green color for the surrounding color with the white in the middle. It would look so super cute. But yes, anyway, let me know what you all think in the comment section down below. What colors did you use for your trinket plate, or what colors you're planning on using, or if the pattern was easy or hard, or just let me know. Any comments, questions, or concerns, just let me know in the comment section down below, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. And don't forget, the written pattern is available. You can find that in the link in the description box down below, because it's a lot easier to see it written. I don't know about you, but for me, that's how it is. And if you're the same as me, then yeah, written is a little easier when you're watching it as well. And it just teaches you what they look like when you're creating stitches, and just in case you want to create your own pattern, you know, just practice. Anyway, no more talking for me because I like to talk a lot. But if you did enjoy this video and you want another spring design like a 4-leaf clover and maybe a keychain, you want to go ahead and click over to this video right here. But I do also have a nice little playlist here where you can find more spring delight of videos. So as always, thank you for sticking by, and I will see you again in the next one. Bye!